One mistake took down this 29-year-old dark web drug lord, Silk Road. Criminals always make mistakes, it's just that you must be a little bit patient and careful while tracing their footsteps. One such thing happened to a darknet website that was taken down after a crackdown against its founder. So, what's the story behind this darknet website? Who founded it? And what led to its demise? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new video on the channel. In this video, we are going to talk about a website built over the dark web which facilitated all sorts of illegal activities, from money laundering to mass-scale drug sales. The website was named Silk Road by its founder Ross Ulbricht, and there was a complete story behind it. What that is? Well, stick around to the end as we dive deep into this story and tell you everything there is to know. So, without any further ado, let's get started. It all started back in 2010 when the founder of the website, Ross Ulbricht, had just completed his postgraduate studies at the Pennsylvania State University in material science and engineering. From the very beginning, Ulbricht was a bright kid with a promising career ahead. But something changed when he graduated from Penn State because by then he had become interested in the libertarian economic theory and followed the biggest proponent of it, named Ludwig von Mises. Inspired by a libertarian model, Ulbricht wanted to make something that would bypass all the powers and regulations of the authorities, and pursuing that goal, he founded the website called Silk Road. The sole purpose of this website was to provide a marketplace that was anonymous and left behind no trail of the transaction that took place. The site was built over a dark web network, and it could be accessed through a Tor browser. His rationale behind constructing such a website was people should be free to choose what they want to consume and buy, and the rules were simple. No CSAM allowed, stolen goods were not allowed, and for a while the sale-purchase of weapons was allowed but later banned. So in his mind, he was building an online marketplace that would be decentralized with full anonymity and security for both buyers and sellers on his platform. Ulbricht believed that it was up to the people what they would want to consume. If they want drugs to get high, then it's not a concern of anyone else, especially the government. The way Ulbricht realized his goal of making something that the government could not interfere with was through the help of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, which had recently surfaced on the market, and all the financial transactions that took place over the Silk Road marketplace used cryptocurrency as its medium of transactions. Although all the transactions were recorded on the publicly available Bitcoin blockchain ledger, however, none of it was registered under the name of the buyers and sellers, so basically it provided a safe haven for anyone who would want to perform an illegal transaction. I don't know what was on his mind when he started the development of all this. He posted on his Facebook that he needed a brilliant programmer for a Bitcoin-based seed venture. He didn't make clear what he was planning, but he gave his email over there so the prospective candidates could reach him. Remember this email because it was one of those mistakes that played a role in dismantling the Silk Road website. But before we get to the part of how it all came down, let's first see how it became one of the biggest darknet websites, making Ulbricht a multimillionaire just through the commissions that rolled in on every sale conducted over the marketplace. Initially, the website was not known to many people, so the sales were happening, but traffic was slow and less frequent. But as the trust of both sellers and buyers was developed, the site grew in numbers and brought in more revenue. After the website had substantial traffic, Ross announced a new name, Dread Pirate Roberts, on the website, which he took from the character The Princess Bride. The announcement of the name came with a lot of energy from the founder, as previously he was operating under the banner of The Founder, so putting a name title was essential. Dread Pirate Roberts wasn't something that Ross kept to himself. On the contrary, it was supposed to be transferred to the next person who would take charge of the business. Unfortunately for him, that day never came, because less than 2 years after its launch, the website was shut down after the arrest of Ross. So now that we know what the website was all about, it's time that we talk about what caused the demise of such an empire in the making. Several factors contributed to this downfall, and each of them was important. Remember when I mentioned the email that Ross had shared for the programmer candidates to reach out to him if they want a job? That email was traced by Gary Alford, an IRS tax inspector. Gary wasn't an avid user of technology, but he surely was intelligent. He started his search on Google and tried to find the earliest threads that were posted all over the internet about this new website. After a few tries, he came across the post in which Ross had marketed the programming job, and there he found his email. This was the starting point of the investigations that later on became the reason for the website's downfall. Another thing that played an important role in the taking down of the website and Ross was the traffic. Yes, the very thing that Ross was so proud of became the reason for its downfall. The thing is that after the investigators found out about the email, they became more interested in bringing Ross in. Everyone knew the website is illegal and that all sorts of criminal activities were taking place on the platform. But since no one was able to trace the mastermind behind all these activities, it was still operational. According to some claims, drugs worth over $300,000 were traded over the marketplace on a daily basis. In only 2 years, during which the website was operational, it made a total revenue of $1.2 billion, from which Ross earned a hefty $80 million just from the commission. So the marketplace didn't make Ross a drug lord. He wasn't directly involved in the trade, but his platform was the greatest invention to trade such illegal goods. Obviously, when a trade of such magnitude was taking place over the platform, it was going to attract the attention of the authorities. When the authorities did figure it out, they started searching for the servers from which the website was operational. And if you know anything about the darknet, then you must be very well acquainted with the fact that it's almost impossible to trace someone directly on the darknet, because all the IP addresses are hidden over the network, yet somehow the FIA was successful in tracing the servers. Though it isn't disclosed by the FIA to date, they did find the server's location. It was probably the traffic that was diverted toward one server that helped them trace that location. However, once FIA got its hands on one server, it didn't take long to get the mastermind, Ross Ulbricht. FIA took help from the IRS investigator I mentioned before, and by combining all of that information, they found Ross and he was arrested in 2013. His trial started in 2014, and once it was up and running, it was game over for Ross. He was charged with several crimes, including running a criminal enterprise, dealing with narcotics, committing money laundering, and cyber crimes. He was given a life sentence after he was found guilty of committing them. In 2015, he was sentenced to a double life in prison with an extra 40 years, and he was also ordered to pay $183 million in the restitution of illegal drug sales. This wasn't enough, because later he was also charged with hiring murderers for killing people. Ross was alleged to have murdered at least 5 people. Wow. After all these charges, even the Supreme Court of the United States would reject his appeal for parole or any other leniency. Silk Road was a fully fledged criminal empire, and much like the real Silk Road, it did create some great business opportunities for those involved. Unfortunately, the marketplace turned into a hub for illegal activities. No one knows whether Ross started it with the intent of creating something that would make him a drug lord, but Silk Road did make the 29-year-old a drug lord for whatever short time it was operational. So that's all for today's video. I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.